We had a 7-day shooting schedule, which was damn near impossible.
We had half the actors we have now, so it was like, you did everything.
We didn't think there was a chance in hell of us getting the show on the air.
The first 3 episodes seemed like a year.
I really didn't expect us to make it till Christmas, the first season. Nobody else did either.
Buddies to drop him off.
What are friends for?
Dr. Boss, 3-month-old seizing in 1 tips 105.
I got him, Doug, go.
John and I talked a lot that first year, and I came into, several of the big writers' meetings to discuss concepts and plots, and I believe I was the one that said, I so love Juliana Margulies. I said, you can't let her die.
We get a new barbiturate level yet? Just came back. Still 45.
You can't pull the sheet over her head.
I called her and she was about to take a TV series where she had to wear a bikini or something. I mean, something that was just horrifying her. And she was like, oh, what am I going to do? And I called her and said, put your bikini away. You're coming back on the show.
For 6 and get me an intubation tray.
I got a call waiting, and it was John Wells saying, we think we'd like you back. And I said, how? I died, I thought. He said, we have ways.
1, 2, 3.
There you go. See what you got lined up. I can't breathe.
After we scheduled the series, 10 o'clock on Thursday, CBS announced their schedule, and they put Chicago Hope there, which was a terrific show. It was a medical drama, going head-to-head with another medical drama.
The idea that they were going to be on opposite each other was not encouraging.
We were supposed to do half the numbers that Chicago Hope did. It was a big competition at the time. No one thought we'd beat them.
It was daunting to have gone from that difficult to pilot, which had a tremendous amount of page count, but we had almost twice as much time per hour to do the pilot than we were going to have to do the series. And it was difficult to sort of imagine that. The first thing we knew we had to do was build the entire set so that we would have some chance to control the environment. So we had to start that immediately to get into production. It was a very large set build.
They got the plans of the original hospital, and they actually reduplicated hard ceilings and all the things that make it feel real.
I was hopeful that Rod would be able to stay and do it, and he helped us in kind of the initial stages of building that set or planning the set. But then he had another commitment to do. I'd worked extensively with Mimi, leader on China Beach, and she'd gone off to do some other things, but I called her and asked her as a favor if she would come over and do it for me.
Okay, Deb, as we say around here, quite often, love up and dig in.
So I came on as the sets were being built and helped redesign the show for a series.
Grab the IV.
Happy feels no good.
Give my megabadropine and start a dopamine shred.
John called me, asked me if I would come and produce the series. He said, who knows, NBC doesn't care for it too much. It's 9 episodes. Why don't you come do it? I had a great experience. We could work together. It'd be a lot of fun. And I did.
I came on its first year, and that was it. We were, on the assembly line headed for a shredder.
The first 5 or 6 episodes, we had an edict to produce them, to finish production in 7 days. Well, that was almost undoable.
We were shooting almost 80-page scripts, which is almost a feature-length script being shot in 7 days.
Which was an extraordinary feat, because how do you shoot all this material, all these operations, all this detailed story, and do 10 pages a day?
All right, hurry up, unstrap them. We gotta move them. We gotta move it quick.
The way to accomplish all of that was to speed everything up and create this steady cam moves that we eventually evolved in, where we were able to kind of shoot 5 or 6 pages in one shot.
97.8, 90 over 50, cost 125. Pretty darn normal.
Doug. Yep. The camera's going in and out of hallways and into a trauma room, and there's a dialogue going on, and then it passes that and goes into another trauma room. And sometimes we'd go up to 22 takes, because if it's all perfect and the person at the end flubs their line, you gotta start all over again.
Call X-ray down here, stat.
Susan, I need you in here.
When someone misses a line, you want to kill them. I mean, there was a lot of pressure to perform, because you're not just letting down yourself, you're letting down everybody.
Susan!
What do we got?
52-year-old male, grabbed his chest and collapsed. Hypotensive, 80 over 60.
We had half the actors we have now, so it was like, you did everything. You carried the props in the background, you were pushing the gurneys.
Carter! What are you doing? I'm sleeping.
The schedule was so nonstop, and we were working till midnight, often. I'd say almost every night. including weekends. And then the next morning, we would just show up to do it all again.
He's in shock. Keep those IVs wide open.
All right, people. Showtime. Let's move.
The first 3 episodes seemed like a year. It was so huge. I mean, we had a T-shirt printed up. I believe it was like, I survived the first 2 episodes of ER.
Type Cross Match 6 units, Pack Cell, CDC, Chem 7. Let's get the old neg moving now.
I remember distinctly before the show went onto the air and we were getting a lot of pressure from NBC that it was too busy and there was too much going on and nobody could follow this many stories.
We didn't have a secret recipe or a prescription for what ER would be, that we could pull it out of the drawer and go, oh yeah, they're on target.
Blake, what do you got?
25-year-old truck roll, no seatbelt, keep going in the red.
A lot of times I remember when we would be watching dailies during that first season of ER, and John Wells would be looking at all these different angles, and he'd say, is that gonna cut together? And I'd look at him with this blank look about, I don't know.
No one really understood how the format could work.
Lydia actually sort of convinced me that we were going in the right direction. We were walking back from a meeting, you know, because we were over budget and NBC was upset and didn't know how we were going to make this really work. And I remember kind of walking to my office and she leaned over and said, you're doing a really good job. This is going to work. Don't worry about it. And that was actually during a period of time when I was really pretty much ready to, you know, drive my car into a bridge abutment.
Call security! Call White the trauma!
It's a little nerve-wracking because you're working in a void. You know, the studio's looking at the cuts, the network is looking at the cuts. Nobody really knows, is this going to work, isn't it going to work? Everybody's nervous.
There was an early script where I was disagreeing with some way that it was going, and John said, well, why don't you just write it the way you think it should be? And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I remained a sort of hands-off the keyboard producer.
Let's go.
Initially, we weren't making it anywhere near the way we should be. There was a huge learning curve to trying to get a pace and a rhythm.
We were looking to make a change and to bring in another Steadicam operator.
Roll over TC, thrown 20, heavy ETOH. Black on his right leg, no apparent fracture. He's yanked 2 IVs, doesn't want to be touched. Calls himself Smiley.
If we hadn't have found Guy B, it wouldn't be what it is now. He was a maestro with the Steadicam. He could make shots work that you didn't think could work.
Put a 357 in his mouth and pull the trigger. It isn't pretty. 2 large bore IVs, 15 liters O2. BP's 80 over 50, close 56, G610. He's cyanotic. Where's Benton? He's still up with that knife for him. Hey, we need a doctor in here!
Felt like every episode we were trying to push the envelope a little bit more as to how long we could go.
His talent just took us to another level.
18% second degree, 9% third degree burns. Left in his chest, abdomen, and right shoulder. You're going to be in good shape, sir.
A lot of times we would do this beautiful 3-minute shot, everything's going great, and at the very end I'd hit the door and the whole camera would fly. And you can't get mad, you just kind of go, all right, you know, let's go back to 1.
Code in 7, code in 7!
The director would come in and say, okay, I want to go here and here and here. And sometimes I'd shake my head and go, oh man, not again. But you never say it can't be done, you never say it's impossible.
Oh, Mark. Tad and I need a ring there for our wedding.
I hadn't seen anything like it. And I think that was part of the evolution. I think that was a key part of the evolution of the ability to shoot the show and evolve to this kind of unconventional style of shooting.
Doctor, please help me.
Carter, I said hold her down.
Doctor! Happy birthday, Peter.
The fun that we had on the set with George and Eric and Noah. I mean, George would instigate, and then we'd all follow.
Bang. He dead. He dead. He ain't gonna make it.
There was one time, actually, where George was just joking around and took the defibrillator paddles. And he went to, you know, pump his own heart. Didn't realize that everything in there is real. And they were on. And he went down. He went down hard.
These are the paddles.
Oh, my God!
What was that set on?
200.
Oh, he should be okay.
Fickle thinker of fate gets you every time. Wanted my daughter to be a doctor, but you can't get what you want from life. She's a hostess at a Hungarian restaurant.
That writing staff that first season was like an all-star team of the best dramatic writers in television.
My mom says my dad's gonna die.
Yes, he is.
Why can't you fix it?
We hired a wonderful writer by the name of Paul Manning, who had been working on LA Law the year before, and he came over.
High-speed collision, 2 teenage males in 1 car.
We would all get together and we would just throw around ideas for the character stories. And at the same time, everyone was going to hospitals, going to ERs, and collecting their own stories, doing their own research.
A patient presents with stabbing lower back pain, and you don't even ask for a surgical consult? A medical student would know better.
I had gone to 4th grade on with Neil Baer, who was at Harvard Med School, and I called him and asked him, much to his father's great chagrin, if he would drop out of Harvard Medical School to come and work on the show.
The first year on the show, I called every friend of mine from medical school and would talk to them about what's the worst thing that happened to you? What's the saddest thing that happened to you? What's something you'll never forget? You know, and people would say, well, the first time I delivered a baby, and that became this wonderful episode where Noah Wiley delivers a baby for the first time.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It's a girl.
Oh.
What? I hit him.
Steven Spielberg, as you know, was involved with the series, and he kept calling up and saying, do something with a dog. Do something with a dog.
All right, give it a bullet.
Car versus canine, possibly.
Car versus canine.
Got a fractured left front leg, or maybe it's radius ulna. Nobody's quite sure how to take the BP.
Probably one of the worst things I ever did to an actor was I made Noah Wiley give the dog mouth-to-snout resuscitation.
Can we hurry this up, please?
But he was a good sport. I mean, he kind of read the script and he came up to see me and went, Lyd, what is this mouth-to-snout thing?
You know, they say the dog's mouth is the cleanest part of its body.
What do they say about its nose?
Green walking wounded, yellow urgent, red critical, and black DOA. Got it?
Got it.
The first, I thought, fully realized episode that we had was Blizzard.
Blood bag, come in. This is Ross in ER.
John wanted to do a show that was in tone like the pilot, with a lot of action stuff coming in, just sort of nonstop.
All right, let's go. Clear.
I just remember setting up that first shot in Blizzard. We started bringing everybody in, and it was like insane. We felt like we were in it. We felt like it felt real.
All right, you're gonna be okay.
We had, at the time, the synthetic snow, which is plastic. It's Tupperware. And you have to breathe it, and it gets in your eyes, and we had babies, and we had actors, and we had people laying face up on gurneys, and it just permeated the whole stage 11, and it was not comfortable.
The hospital never got clean from day 1 to day 7 of the shooting because it was all supposed to be one continuous thing, and by the end of the 7th day, there was blood, and there was bandages, and there was every glove and everything else was all just thrown all over this hospital. It was just like, okay, we're ready for this to be over.
Somebody help me. My wife's unconscious in the car. Dr. Green! Please, somebody help me!
We knew, like, early on that we were going to make the hero of the show, Tony Edwards' character, Mark Green, commit a terrible mistake, and that became Love's Labor Lost.
Your wife has eclampsia.
Is she gonna die?
No, we just need to get her admitted and medicated.
She's seizing.
I think the week that we shot Love's Labor Lost, I think everyone was miserable that entire week. We were all so sad and so into the death of this woman.
Where are you taking him? We gotta do an emergency C-section. I need your consent. What the hell you're doing? Have you ever done this before? I've scrubbed him many times. Doug, I want somebody else in here. Look, we can't wait. If we wait 5 more minutes, your baby's brain dead. Oh my God, go!
One of the most traumatic things was the fact that it took us like 4 days to go 6 feet. Like, there was this whole thing of trying to get the gurney from one room back into the trauma room. And it just took days to do it because of the physicality of it. So the frustration within the episode became the frustration on the set.
You know, I was shooting this one take, I remember, and it was, you know, one of those serious moments in the piece when we were just like 14 hours and we were birthing this baby.
Oh my God.
There's 2 liters in her. We got an abruption.
She's bleeding out.
Carter, Chan, gown up.
Get the baby out.
And all of a sudden, Anthony pulled out this green monster. You know, it was a prank, you know, and it was great. I mean, we all laughed for about 20 minutes. Then we got back to work. But you'd have to do things like that to get through it.
That was a nightmare episode for me. I had mononucleosis. I had 104-degree temperature and was sick as a dog.
Carter, go up to OB and drag Drake down. Tell me.
And I remember saying to Lance Gentile that I couldn't possibly keep working, that I needed to go home. And he said, well, you can't go home, so what are we gonna do? And I said, well, what are you gonna do? And he said, well, we can hook you up to one of these IVs. I went, really? And he goes, yeah. So he took one of the props and stuck it in my arm, and I had the bag of saline in my pocket when we were rolling, and then when they'd say cut, I'd hang it up on a hook and squeeze the saline into my arm.
I remember I did this shot when Anthony has to go in and tell the father that the mother is gone. And I didn't want to hear any words, and I just shot it through a window and did a slight move back. And it was so devastating for us. I mean, it's devastating when you watch it, but for us shooting it, it was as devastating. We were also hooked into this, moment. I remember feeling that I had done something important, that we had all done something together, that we all learned something as artists.
Take the highway, that's the best.
Madam X?
Get
She doesn't
your
answer to that,
kicks
but yes.
on Route
least she's good.
66.
I've had an opportunity to work with some incredible people. I mean, I can't think of where else I would have an opportunity to work with. Some of the best character actors and actors working today have been through these halls, and I've had an opportunity to sort of befriend and learn and steal from all of them.
How long has it been since you spoke to your son? 10 years. Oh, no. Oh, 20 years.
I spend 3 hours putting on my face before I dare go outside. Plucking and waxing. And even then, someone always notices.
David Morgenstern told me you were the most impressive resident he'd ever seen. And I'm thinking, is this the same guy?
Try some breathing. I love you so much, baby. So much. So much.
Shut up!
Don't let the patients get to you, Dr. Lewis. We treat them as soon as we can, and there is no need to apologize for how long it takes. We're a busy hospital, not a restaurant.
I'm not ready. Damn it, I'm not. I don't want to leave them.
I remember I went on the air and I had never experienced that kind of an immediate response from the audience.
It was a phenomenon overnight.
Right from the beginning, week one, ER sort of beat the heck out of Chicago Hope, and that continued, basically until they moved Chicago Hope out of there.
3 weeks into the season, I think Chicago Hope was doing a 19 share and ER was doing a 41 share.
We were like going, oh my God, look at these ratings. We were shocked.
It's not your fault, Doug. You gotta forgive yourself sooner or later.
Before the show came out, we'd go to Chicago, and we'd shoot for a couple hours, and nobody'd even come over. It'd be like, what are they doing over there? And then the show came out, and about 3 weeks after the show was out, we went there to just do our sort of guerrilla filmmaking, and there was, a couple thousand people showed up, and it was like, okay, this is a mess. Things changed very quickly.
By Thanksgiving time, we were on the cover of Newsweek.
When Newsweek came, you're like, this is a big deal, because this isn't news. Like, this is they're trying to explain some pop phenomenon.
They sent me to New York to do some publicity, and they thought the best show to cut my teeth on would be Regis and Kathy Lee, so I went out there and did my little interview on Regis and Kathy Lee, and I was walking back to the hotel, and a guy came up to me with a Newsweek magazine cover that had all of our faces on it. And I remember thinking that it was one of those joke covers that you can get made up. I remember thinking, oh, that's really funny, I should get one of those. And he pointed to a newsstand that had a whole rack full of them. And I just stood there, I was looking at this picture of all of us on the cover of Newsweek magazine with the caption that read, a healthcare program that really works.
Gosh, sure. Got it. It's clamped.
Heart's beating.
That's teamwork.
Finally, after that unbelievable championship season, we go to the Emmys, and ER collects 8 Emmys.
By the end of the first season was like, okay, this is big time.
I think that I knew the show was gonna, be around for a while when I stopped watching the rough cuts, and I chose to watch the shows like everybody else in America at 10 o'clock Thursday night. because I wanted to be surprised along with everybody else.
I don't expect to ever be involved in that kind of thing again in my career, but it was pretty astonishing to witness.
The first season, you know, felt like we had done something very special, that a group of us had come together not knowing each other to create something different. And what was really exciting about it was that people responded to what we were doing.